if you are kind of at rock bottom as a man, you're feeling broken, your life isn't where it needs to be, and you're waiting for somebody to come save you, you're going to be waiting for a really freaking long time.
I have failed a lot these
Hmm.
past years. Just like shame, guilt, like, I fucked up, man, you know?
Yes, semen retention is like it's changing my life for the better and it's helping significantly. You just melted my mind with that last thing.
That one's huge. And I ended up having, to my knowledge, my first ejaculation. An ejaculation is when you go out, and ejaculation is when you have it in one of your chakras. I smiled and I was like, oh shit.
What do we have here? Hey, what is good, guys? I'm doing something a little bit different here with the channel. This is going to be potentially the first of many conversations that are more podcast oriented, discussion oriented with a guest that I bring on. The guest this week is my good friend Niko. And guys, we dive into, man, a lot around grief, difficult situations in life, how to rebuild yourself, how to work through that, create lasting change in your life. If you want to jump to just the part where we discuss semen retention, as you would assume we would, that's around like 30 minutes. You can jump towards that if you would like. But all in all, guys, this is a really authentic, transparent conversation between two men, what we're doing, where we are presently at, what we are working through, and how we are working on leveling up and becoming better versions of ourselves. So if you are into any of that, guys, this is going to be a great, I guess, episode, call it a podcast, for you guys to watch. So before you do that, subscribe, follow along if you want more of this, and we will jump right in. Gentlemen, this is the first ever, I guess we could consider it like a podcast interview with my friend Niko. We typically just kind of catch up man to man every few months, I guess, and we just kind of get into all the deep stuff that we're working on and going through a lot of self-development stuff. I usually get into semen retention, of course, and all that. Um, so we're gonna actually just record this one for the first time, and hopefully there's a gem in here that inspires, motivates, helps one of you men out there heal. So we're gonna be authentic, we're gonna be transparent, and yeah, hopefully enjoy this one. So shout out to Niko. Thanks for being here, bro.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Well, act like it's not even recording. We're just gonna have our normal chat and we'll see what comes out of it.
Totally.
Nice
Um,
necklace, by the way.
Thank you.
What is
So,
that?
biogeometry.
Nice.
I
Yeah.
learned about it through Ryan Sprague and the cannabis coach, and then I watched a video from Robert Guilford who talked a lot about it, and then I went to the website and I got it, and it's nice. It's really beautiful.
That's clean, dude.
Yeah, man.
One thing you're gonna notice, guys, is similar to myself, Niko is always learning from other people, and he's got a pretty wild network where he's just always plugged in and figuring new stuff out. So
Oh, oh yeah,
that's why these are fun conversations.
yeah. They
Well,
always are.
bro, how
Yeah.
when was the last time we talked though? It was like
I don't even know, man.
3, 4 months.
I don't even know if we spoke this year at all, other than through text.
You know what? You're right. It was at my old apartment.
You moved. Wow. Yeah, it's been
Yeah.
5 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I
Because I know
know
days
I
are.
know we've both kind of been going through some stuff too, so I mean,
Yeah, man.
it
How
makes sense.
how have you been, like, grief wise, with catalysts and emotions in general?
Yeah. Um, so to give a little clarity to anybody that watches this, so um Nico and I, we both met in a community called the Level Up Collective, where it's just a bunch of people that get together to improve their lives. And the wild thing is that I lost my mom last July of 2025, and he lost his mom, was it 3 or 4 months right before that?
Yeah, it was April 28th.
April 28, and then that previous year you had lost your dad.
Yeah.
So man, dude, when I was like really deep in it, um, you were one of the only people that I could like connected with, and we just started talking through it because it's like, holy crap, like
Those conversations were really nice.
no, it's like how many people truly like know what you're going through at that level, especially when it's that fresh.
Yeah.
It's just like nobody does. So when we talk about grief, guys, this is typically where it's stemming from right now. Dude, it's been yeah, the grief comes in waves. I know we've talked about it where it's like you think you got through the wave. It's like, "Oh, I made it. I'm in the clear." And then this giant wave comes again. And you're like, "Ah, here we go again." And then you're underwater again, and then you're just like fighting for some air and it like Mother's Day was pretty tough, dude. Um it didn't really even hit me until a couple days before when I went to the grocery store.
Mm,
Just the whole freaking place is Mother's Day balloons and flowers. And bro, it literally like just like, stopped me in my tracks because I like my nervous system like wasn't sure what to do right away. It's just like I just stopped and looked around. I was like, well, this fucking sucks. And then it's like, you know, I'm trying to juggle a balance between, okay, how much do I let myself go under and feel the grief and feel the pain, because when I do that, I have a tendency to also like kind of relive it and like get in my head and like
yeah,
play
totally.
through situations and scenes again. And then you're like in your head. And we kind of talked about this where it's like, at what point does that almost become like a self-harm method? Like your body's getting off on just remembering all the pain and just like the shittiness. And there's like the aspect of, okay, I'm trying to juggle giving myself the ability to feel and move through this stuff, but then at one point I'm like it kind of debilitates me, you know, like it literally like makes it hard to dream about the future
Yeah, totally.
and purpose and do things that I'm excited about. Like the two feel like they contradict each other.
Yeah. Yep.
So
It's wild.
bro, that's been the game is when it really does come up, when the emotions come up, like I do give myself a good just like cry fest, like cry time, like to feel the emotions, just freaking, I'll go into my room and just freaking punch the bed for like a few minutes straight just to get some of this energy out of my body, this anger, this frustration. And um I was talking with Vanita.
Hmm.
It was mid or late last year, probably late last year.
He's awesome.
And yeah, Vanita is another woman in that collective, and she is really, really gifted at reading energy fields. And bro, she was even like, I was having her tap in a little bit too, and like immediately she's like, "Oh yeah, your lungs like they're holding on to a lot of grief. Like there's a lot going on there." It's like you don't say like that. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So lately, bro, I've been getting into Chinese herbal medicine, like TCM, traditional Chinese medicine,
Cool.
and starting to support myself with support my organs. You know how like every organ holds emotions? Yeah, so I've been working on my kidneys because I recognized like a lot of fear and like kind of like worry, stuff like that, and I'm like working to support those. But the next up is the lungs, and I'm just learning acupressure points to support those. And I'm now in the process of looking for an acupuncturist as well because I really do think some acupuncture will help with releasing some of this stuck and blocked grief.
Yeah. Yeah, I was
So,
the chiropractor because I had a lot of muscle issues on my right side. Um, and after like a 6 week program starting last year in like November, um, all the muscle pains and tendon pains and stuff were gone except for one thing, which seems to be what we're calling the root cause, or that the root cause is behind it. And so I need to find somebody else to work with. But it was pretty much, he did some dry needling on the bicep, and in the exact two spots that he put the needles and it poked, like I felt the exact place of pain be like lit up with electricity. I'm like, yep, those are the spots. And he told me what the meridians were, and they're lung 3 and lung 4. And I'm like,
bro,
is this related to grief and the amount
grief.
of that I'm smoking to cope, and I'm like, fucking fascinating. So I've been I'm personally I'm interested in finding like a somatic experiencing practitioner, someone that can do like body work stuff. You know about that?
Yep, yep, yep.
Yeah. So it's either that or some acupuncture. So very similar. Very interesting, huh?
Dude, I'm telling you, there's something to that, the meridians when it comes to the lungs and grief, and
Yeah.
it makes perfect sense
Yeah.
in
Of
my
course.
opinion.
Yeah.
So, bro, that's where I've been at with the whole grief thing, and again, sometimes I wonder if sometimes I wonder if I'm still pushing it down and just trying to like push through life and like kind of ignoring it off to the side. Um, and then there's an aspect of it where it's like, well, don't I not want to ever forget this because it's my mom?
Yeah.
Shouldn't I always be thinking and feeling about this? Like, is it bad to move on? Because it's almost like if I'm not feeling that pain and everything that it happened, then it's kind of like it never happened. If you move past that and you're like, isn't that like another way to like it's like the last thing that you're holding on to
Yeah.
from from your parent, and it's just like you kind of get in your head like I want to move through this. I know that I need to move through this healthfully, but at the same time you're letting that final piece go,
Yeah.
and that hurts again.
Moving forward has been super painful for me. It has been, and it's been tough because since I'm in the house and both my parents aren't here, as I've started decluttering, it's been really tough. I have a little bit more momentum now, and I'm, you know, part of what I want to talk about later is music because the first big room that I'm decluttering is, it was like a storage. It was being used as a storage room, but I'm going to use it as my music studio room so I can just like unlock that creativity and inspiration again and do the thing that I know that I came here to do. Um, and it's felt so difficult, and also because I haven't had like the momentum of a career in the years that I was caretaking, to be just like kind of spit out like after the whole crisis, and just like here I am by myself without a career and just like with all the energy of my entire life and childhood and my parents' lives and all their energy. And oof, it's been tough, man. And so I've been like since the holidays, I've been pretty much in like a coping loop where I've maybe only taken 1 or 2 3 days max off of smoking, and it's been so hard to not. Like I've been smoking every day, tobacco and cannabis,
Yep.
and yesterday was the first day that I took like a baby step, which usually I've noticed patterns in me that are like try to go from 0 to 100, and it can be a bit of a like I'm noticing it's like kind of violent change. So yesterday I'm like, okay, I'm not smoking any tobacco at all. God help me with this. And anytime that a thought comes up about tobacco, I'll offer it to you and just let it go. But I'm still gonna smoke cannabis, and I did, and there were a lot of cravings yesterday for tobacco, and I didn't, and so I'm going for another day today, and just little by little these baby steps, being gentle, even accepting that like yeah, grief is intense, and this grief that I'm experiencing is very intense. So like notice where I'm being like violent and pushy with myself to try to like move on more so than I'm ready to. And like, where can I trust God more? Where can I ask for support from certain people to help me move through like the really big things? And also, like, hey man, just keep moving forward. And on the super heavy days, take a break. But don't elongate that more than you need to and like end up in this coping spiral where I don't do anything productive, and then it's even harder to get back to it.
Yep.
So
Bro, that's the balance that's been feeling like the struggle for me is allow yourself. to feel it,
Yeah.
work through it, but also you're like, bro, how long can I do this? Like when I do that, I'm not on my purpose. And but you could say there is purpose also in there,
Yeah. Because how
but
can you actually achieve your purpose if you don't face the grief? Because if not, the grief
yeah,
will kill us from the inside. You
yeah.
know?
Well said. Bro,
Yeah.
when you so is tobacco, is that mostly to get the nicotine hit, you think? Is that
You know, it's been so interesting because I've heard a lot of people be like, all right, just like seriously self-inquire, ask yourself, what is it that I want? Like, why am I doing this? And it's so fucking subtle, that it's really been hard to get an answer. But I can see there's a pattern of overstimulation and wanting to be overstimulated. Like one of the patterns I would do is like hop online and play like Call of Duty multiplayer, and these like super small maps, super high speed, super high energy, really quick reflex time, and that's something I've always loved since I was a teenager. Like I
yeah.
enjoyed that, but like in between matches, I'll come outside. I would come outside and smoke some tobacco, and then when the next match starts, I come back inside and I'm just like kind of like revving myself up. And I've noticed that that happens until like I'm just kind of tired of that, or my mouth is just like, bro, please stop. And then I'll switch to cannabis because I'm like so like kind of like just like really buzzed with the nicotine, and then the cannabis will help like bring it back down. And then like I'll have dinner or watch something, and then like sometimes just like keep it going and do more things. And like I think it was Tuesday night, 2 nights ago, that I just found myself like smoking on back to back American spirits, but still it's just the constant. I'm like, yeah, this I stopped judging myself for it a couple weeks ago and just started like leaning into a practice of like acceptance. And I did some story work and was able to see like I, I don't need to go super specific unless you want me to, but I was able to see like what my stories were around tobacco and how I was believing it was bad for me, which we can argue there are like physical consequences to things, but also in exploring like the non-dual nature of reality. It's like, the cancer rates started to skyrocket when the tobacco companies put all these cancer warning labels on the cigarette boxes. And it's like, yeah, there's like the placebo effect, that's our power of belief. And so if I'm doom and gloom and fear every time that I'm like coping, then I'm not really coping, because then I'm just going to be like stacking it more. But if I'm just like, yep, I recognize this is a coping mechanism that is working for me now, and it is working because it is coping. There are others that I would prefer, but right now this is the one that's here, and like, can I accept this? And there was a point I reached on Tuesday night that I was like, yo, oh, like, yeah, I don't want to do that. Like, I want to take a day off. Like, I need to take a day off. And I don't need to renounce this for the rest of my life. I just want to be in right relationship with it, where I don't want to need something every day as like a crutch, you know?
Yeah.
But I also understand that I mean, grief, like, we can't even compare our grief, because it's just, you can't really compare things in between people's experiences. It's all subjective.
Nope.
But specifically what I'm experiencing with the grief that I'm feeling, um, is that it's just so life changing and so heavy and so much identity loss and shattering of things, that it it's like it makes sense. It totally makes sense that there would be coping mechanisms, and that if we just give ourselves the grace and the ease, and like notice anytime shame or guilt comes up, and we can like work with those things. Self love can be so fucking hard, dude, to actually like activate it when something as big as grief hits us in our lives.
Oof. Damn, bro, there's so much in there
Yeah.
that we could go towards.
Yeah.
Um, how was Mother's Day in particular for you?
Mother's Day was rough.
It was
It was
tough.
also like, what was it, like the first weekend of May or the second weekend?
I don't even know, dude.
Something like that. But since my mom passed April 28th, it's like 2 weeks away from Mother's Day. So those 2 weeks from like her anniversary and Mother's Day, I was pretty much non-functional, man. It was tough.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was super dissociated on Mother's Day, and the next day on that Monday is like when I just like let a whole bunch of grief out and like cried and yelled and emoted and hit stuff and
Yeah.
yeah, man. Oof.
Well, dude, I'm glad. I'll tell you what, I'm grateful for you, bro, because being able to have somebody else to talk to about this that actually like knows what is going on, you can't really put a price on that. Um, Granted, I'm sure we wouldn't consciously both choose to be here, but
No.
you know, I'm grateful we're not alone, I guess.
Yes,
And
sir.
I had a question. Dude, there's so many good things here. The story work. I think
Mm-hmm.
that might be interesting for a few guys to hear what that's all about.
Yeah. So I've been working with Ryan Sprague. He's known as the Conscious Cannabis Coach. You familiar with him?
We've talked about him. I haven't reached out to like check him out or work
Well,
with him or
he
anything.
was actually in the LUC with us for a little bit.
Okay, I didn't know that.
And
Nice.
um, he learned story work from his mentor, Mark England, who I had actually forgotten that he had mentioned that when we were working together. And I happened upon, the algorithm on YouTube gave me a Mark England podcast. Him and it might have been Wellness and Wisdom, Josh Trent. Um, but I'm forgetting. But Mark England, look him up because he's the guy that taught Ryan what he knows about story work. And story work is essentially the thoughts that we hear in our head, the things that just kind of pop up, they're like we can lead them back to our beliefs about reality and about just it's just stories. They're just thoughts, beliefs, stories, and when we sit down intentionally with those stories and we write them out, I mean, Mark England teaches that we can, if we speak it back out loud like 70% slower, then we're able to zoom out into the witness and see the story um, from from a different perspective. And in the story work I did with Ryan, we were using cannabis because he is a cannabis coach, and so I did like a 2 hour session with him, and I came prepared with stories that I had noticed the day before and wrote some down, and some of them were about smoking. And I shared it with him, and he had me read through it all while I was sober. And I noticed he's like, "What did you feel?" And I'm like, "Whoa!" In this specific sentence, which was, "I have failed a lot these past years." That like I really felt it. My body slumped. I was like, "I have failed a lot these
Hmm.
past years." Just like shame, guilt, like I fucked up, man. Um, and then he's like, "Okay, let's smoke now and then do some breath work." And so I took like 3 to 5 hits of the I think I had rolled up my own joint with Sacred Smoke Collective cannabis, which is like super high quality, benevolent, sacred herbs. It's so good. um, and then we did like 3 really long deep breaths, and that helped to activate and like settle. And then he had me read everything back 70% slower. And he's like, "What did you feel now?" And I'm like, "Actually, dude, I actually didn't really feel anything. I felt more like numb from the emotions, like separated." And he's like, "Good, that's the vibe." And I'm like, "Oh shit." And I noticed how when I was reading it faster, it's like the faster the story goes in your mind, sometimes you can't even catch it on a daily basis. You're suffering, and there's just like a, oh, this always happens. But when we slow things down, we can see it, and we're like, oh shit, let me write that down so I can remember that that's one of the stories. And when
Yeah.
you slow it down even more, and especially with the help of plant medicine and just a little bit like cannabis, where it unlocks the subconscious, then you're able to like really look at it. And I noticed like, oh, when I read it sober and fast, I was like playing the character that was speaking that story and feeling the emotion. But then when I zoomed out and did it slower, I'm like, oh, I'm watching the emotion, and like the emotion is like a costume that I can put on and become the character, but I'm now separated from it where I could see it. And
Yep.
he's like, cool, let's fuck with the words now, because what we are is we are the co-author with creator, and so we're able to access the programming and the coding that we unknowingly accepted at some point, and we can start to tweak it. And so he helped me tweak it into, instead of I have failed a lot these past years, he's like, tell me if this feels more true. And he changes it to I have learned a lot about me these past years. And I just felt like my shoulders dropped, and I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, that feels way more true and less victimy, and
Yeah.
fuck yeah. And we did that a few times with different things. Um, and it's about, Mark England always says it's about unlocking the breath. That when we have these stories that get us tense and contracted, that if we work with it to a point where it's like, oh, and we can release, and now there's like we've let go of that story, and then we just continue to reinforce whatever that new story is, the altered, edited one, you know?
Dude, that's so good.
Yeah.
This is so timely for two reasons, dude, because I don't know how much I've told you, but so last year we started an artist community where we're teaching artists how to grow their own music careers and do everything and like all that stuff. And I'm actually right now like neck deep in an internal foundations work course that I'm putting together where it's teaching on all of the beliefs, like this whole thing what we just talked about. But I love that because story work is another new perspective, like another way that you can view it and get to those internal beliefs, those limiting beliefs that you just absorbed unconsciously and just are running,
Yeah.
and they're running the show behind the scenes. And bro, it's funny that you bring this up because like I get into this a lot on this channel too, obviously with like semen retention stuff, but then kind of some stuff that you brought up. It's like, well, at the end of the day, yes, semen retention is like it's changing my life for the better and it's helping significantly. And a lot of the guys don't necessarily have to hear this, but then you're like, okay, well, eventually you have to start thinking about what's behind every action. And you're like, am I getting certain effects in my life from things because of the internal beliefs and the placebo?
Mm. Yeah, exactly.
Even if there's a big collective consciousness belief around something working though. And kind of the thing where I've landed is there's two ways, there's 4D and 3D. It's like the belief systems are kind of up in the 4D, and yes, they kind of supersede the 3D, but if you can't hold that frequency, that energy consistently, you slip down into the 3D, and now you have to operate by the Newtonian physics and
Hmm.
the collective consciousness. So in my mind, I'm just kind of like, well, wouldn't it make sense for me to just keep doing both then? So as I'm riding this roller coaster of emotions and frequencies, I'm still covering the bases.
Yeah, that's fascinating. That's a good question.
Yeah, I'm just curious, like, what do you think on that? Because that's what I've been processing with the last couple weeks.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I've been coming to term with this last year is that since my spiritual awakening in 2021 and the following years where my parents were sick, and I was doing a lot of research, rabbit holes, truth about cancer, holistic healing, tons of conspiracies, especially after the spiritual awakening, where I'm like, oh, okay, like what I was told I am is not what I am. Like, okay, like let's start to explore all this fringe shit. Like
Mm-hmm.
that makes sense. That resonates. Like that is what I have experienced, you know. And then I, it was like with mom being sick and like learning the nuance of like Western medicine and allopathic medicine is really great for emergencies and acute situations, um, but terrible, absolutely terrible for anything preventative or what is it? There's acute, and then what's the other one? Like chronic illnesses or issues. It absolutely fucking sucks with. It's like learning the nuance of that has been difficult, and also so much fear was in my system of losing my mom, that was totally operating underneath a lot of me looking for knowledge and information. And now I'm starting to see that in the aftermath and unpack that and be like, yeah, a lot of what I have done has been out of a fuck you to Western medicine and out of fear that Western medicine would kill my mom. And, you know, arguably it did contribute. Um, but I've seen that and my mom, who kind of had some of this too, there's like a little bit of like perfectionism, OCD mixed with ADHD around like being hyper healthy and hyper nutrition and doing all the right things. And that I noticed, I'm like, oh, it's hyper focusing on, again, the material realm and the physical realm. And so anytime that, you know, mom wanted to eat a dessert or something or just do something different, like if I was in like hyper Nazi perfectionist mode, it would be like, no, we shouldn't, and like fighting. And then the days where I would just like that personality, that part would just like be burnt out, or like another part would be louder and be like, no, I'm done with all this hyper shit. Let's take a day off. And then I'd be super chill about it. And it's just this oscillating back and
Yeah.
forth. It's all of that long-winded way to say that, man, there is a nuance to being hyper focused with material reality and like seeing how that is like giving our power away. And it can be. It all depends on, like you said, what is underneath the action. It's the intention underneath the attention. Because like if we're giving our attention to, for example, semen retention. Semen retention can have net positive benefits on the material plane. But if the person's intention happens to be from fear because they're afraid of their sexuality or they're afraid of lust, then it's in a way, it's like the renunciation of the thing almost makes it stronger, or it's just like creating this duality that is like, all right, next life you'll figure it out. But
Yeah.
or maybe in a month like a huge thing is going to happen, you know. And the same for the opposite, where like I've been learning with tobacco, with cigarettes, I've done my best to like, all right, let me get the cleanest, safest product, like on the material realm. Cleanest and safest. American Spirits only has tobacco and water, and they don't add other chemicals, addictive things and stuff to the tobacco to make it taste better or smoother or whatever. So it's oftentimes harsher. Um, and I can see that, and then I can also do my best to like say a prayer every time, or notice when my thoughts are like, ugh, I shouldn't be doing this, and just be like, oh, I let go of that thought, let me feel the feeling of shame or guilt that came up, and let me just feel it and be with it, and not like give into the thoughts and like converse with it or like react to it or anything like that, because then that's where we like get trapped up, and then the emotions kind of like they stay in there, and they get like they generate more. It's wild. Yeah,
Dude,
that was a super long way of saying stuff, but I think we touched up on a lot of things.
no, that's so good. And that's the thing that doesn't get talked about at all, like in the SR community, very much at all, is what's your what's your motive, what's your underlying motivator behind the action that you're taking?
Yeah,
Because the more important thing, guys, is like, yeah, if you're making a decision out of fear, it inevitably has to lead to more fear.
yeah,
That's the frequency of it.
yeah,
If if you're doing it, yeah, you're trying to like, it's kind of like if you're afraid of the lust, instead of like befriending it and like
Hmm.
becoming aware of it and just like incorporating that side into you, but in a healthy manner. Instead, you just like shove it in the closet and slam the door. Well, now it's the big bad lust that's always lurking there, just waiting to get out. And
Yeah, and it
you
becomes
lock.
this scary thing that it's like, um, listening to one of Aaron Abke's videos today where he talks about how like the negative polarity and like negative qualities in general aren't a real thing. There's not a real essence somewhere that exists called lust or something. It's like it's a is the word he uses pervasion. It's like the lack of its opposite, where it's like I guess lust is like um, it's like you see beauty and you want to conquer it, you want to control it, you want to use it for your gain instead of like being in this giving and receiving relationship with beauty and respecting it and honoring it and like um this kind of thing. So I it's like yeah, yeah, it's fascinating.
Man, there's so much there.
There always is, isn't there?
Okay, let me ask you this, dude. Um, because I know you experienced this as well, and I did, and I've talked about this a little bit on the channel. When I lost my mom, I like initially was just throwing myself into the dating apps and literally just like wanting hookups and just like that is it. And it's like that feminine presence, that energy in my life got ripped away. And I was just like, I need to fill it. I need to fill it.
It felt like a fucking desert, like we were just um like dying of thirst for a feminine energy to,
Yeah,
and at least on the physical, to like physically be there with us.
1,000%. Yeah.
Yeah,
And it was just interesting because I know you kind of experienced the same thing.
yeah,
And then we kind of both came to the same conclusion in our own time too, because eventually I was like, bro, this is only going to make it worse for me. Like this isn't even going to help me if I go like don't get me wrong, physically like being with a woman, it's that intimacy like like there is something to that that is great, but also I knew it wasn't going to solve anything. It's like I know there's stuff that I have to work through. Otherwise, I'm just going to be looking for a hit, a high the rest of my life. Is like, "Oh, it's gone now. Got to go get another hit. Oh, gone now. Got to go get another hit." And there's this guy that talks about incorporating your anima and animas. I don't know if you're familiar with that at all. Um,
yeah. I've heard those terms. That has to do with like
it's like
is
your male and female
and
aspects,
okay, cool.
and anima being the female like subconscious energy in yourself in your personality. um and I'm just realizing like, okay, what if I take some time off, hence this leading into this semen retention journey where it's like I think I'm like 220 something days in now, and it's just like it's allowing me a breather to do my best to start to incorporate this stuff into me and find a way to rebalance, as opposed to like me constantly like, all right, got to go get more female attention, more validation, and like that's exhausting, bro. Like that wore me out.
Not sustainable, dude. Yeah.
Curious where you might, be at with that concept, or your thoughts on it as well. I'm open to whatever.
It's fascinating, man. When I hit the Jesus diet in October, yeah, September, October, man, I just like I didn't really feel lust anymore, and I ended up going like 70, almost 90 days or something. I wasn't even really counting. I think there was a day that I attempted to count, and I'm like, I think it's around 90.
Yeah.
Um, and it felt great, and it wasn't a second thought, and it wasn't an issue. But then as the week of Thanksgiving that just started like the holidays and it was bringing me back down and just like, ooh, it was going to be the first year without mom and the second year without dad and like first year without both of them. Like, oh, and it was just, I felt it so much. Um, that I just slowly like felt my frequency start to lower, and I started making decisions to smoke more tobacco and more cannabis, and eating more junk food, and I just like that overstimulation, and then pornography came back in, for those dopamine cycles, you know.
Yep.
And there was a point in January where I actually did a story work session with Ryan, my first one with him. And one of the things I was facing was that like I really did want to, like I felt the desire to want to date somebody, to want to just put myself out there and connect with somebody, but there was this other voice that's like, dude, you're like a broken, grieving mess. Like you can't date anybody right now. You're not like you're not there yet. This kind of belief. And when we worked through it, I realized that like I hadn't been with anybody for like 4 years, and that it's totally okay to get my intimacy needs met. And
Yep.
like to me, to not get them met might have been more violence to myself, or like withholding. And so I was able to get to a point of like, you know what, let me put myself out there with the caveat that whoever I date, I'm going to be extremely honest with them, and I'll I'll make sure that I don't lead them on, you know? And so that exact weekend, literally the next day, I went to a rave with a group of friends, and one of my friends in that crew brought her childhood best friend, and it was super casual. We all had a really nice time, and really great community vibes. And I got her number at the end of the night, and I texted her that week, and our chemistry was like on text. It was awesome, and I was super stoked. And we went on a date that weekend, and she pretty much like divulged her life story, and then I shared mine, and like she lost her father figure to cancer 4 years ago, and I'm like, well, let me, yeah, I told her my story, and then we were just like immediately like holding hands and like in this like open, vulnerable space, and then it just kind of went from there. And we've been dating since February, um,
Oh, you
and
have?
yeah,
Oh, dude, nice. I didn't realize that.
yeah, no, we hadn't talked, we hadn't shared, so
Yeah, it's been a while. Congrats, dude.
thanks, man,
So
thanks.
good.
And I've told her, and she knows, and she's actually held space for me through some really tough moments of like crying when I look at my finances and I see how much I've spent in my grieving and my self-soothing and comforting myself, and just like, facing those things that were like feel like super shameful. And she helped me with some like bare bones things that I just needed to get done but didn't have the strength to. And she's been extremely loving and supportive. And you know I've been super honest of like, yo, I'm not ready to meet any of your family members. And I'm like been slowly trickling in some of my friends and some of my family members here and there.
Yep.
uh, but it's I gotta say, and with this grief, there's like, I'm in such a place of like renewal and like healing, and feeling like kind of shattered in many ways, that I have to give away those thoughts anytime they come through, of like, it's almost like transactional. It's like, oh, well, she was there for you during these really tough times, and so you got to make sure that you're going to be with her long term, or else you're leading her on. And like, I've had to slowly unpack that and be like, no, like, we're dating. I've been honest. And right now, in the present moment, here and now, I am not making a decision on what the future looks like. That is not for me to decide. That's like, we don't control our feelings. We can master them at some point in understanding them, but like the feeling comes up, we feel like, oh, this is right, this is wrong, I want to be with this person, I don't want to be with this person. And it's just been teaching myself that it's okay to live in the present and not have a fucking plan.
Whew.
So
bro. Okay. Okay, so it's so interesting because in the last few weeks, bro, I've been just thinking through all of this. Um, Something weird that's been happening for me the longer that I go on semen retention is that like women are starting to give me so much more like a attention and choosing signals. Like they can innately sense that energy, that masculine polarizing energy. And like there's been opportunities now where it's like, oh yeah, I could have hooked up with that chick. I could have, but now I'm like in my head about like, no, like my goal is a full year on this. And I'm like, and I would still like to do that because I'm seeing the rest of my life get better as I'm holding on to this energy and aiming it at business and aiming it at like healing and all of that stuff. But now there has been a fear that has come up in that, well, bro, like, how long are you going to do this? You
Hmm.
know, because there is this innate desire for the feminine, in my life. And it's like, well, at what point is long enough? It's like, do you stop and invite that feminine in when you find the right woman? It's like, is oh, I'm on SR and I'm doing this journey, is that going to cause me to miss out on potentially a great relationship with
Yeah.
the right woman at the right time?
I guess that's the subtlety, right? That's where intuition comes in. It's like, when is it right for us to hop off, and when does it become, oh, I just want to keep the streak going, and there's fear that if I do this thing, then the streak will be gone, and now this like accolade, or this like, maybe like there's a part of us that wants to identify with the streak, with the number, and like,
Exactly.
dude, it's totally okay to like, it might even be a spiritual practice for someone who has a long streak but notices that they're controlled by the streak, to just bang one out, just to say fuck you to that part of the mind. You do not control me, and I'm back on it the next day. Like,
And
this is,
for any of you guys watching that are on long streaks, let me be clear. I'm not saying you should go do this,
yeah,
but
yeah. I'm bringing this up as a, we're pondering it, you know.
we're thinking, just thinking through this. But dude,
Yeah.
and then it's so interesting because, bro, I'm like, you know me. I'm the type that if I'm gonna do something, I just jump in head first. I'll go 0 to 100. And I started a YouTube channel around just sharing my SR journey. And you blink and there's 2,000 people following along, and you're like, now it's built into your personality a little bit. And now it like there's a part of you that's like, oh, but it feels good to know that I'm on a streak that's longer than what pretty much everybody else can get to. And it's like a chip on your shoulder a bit. But then you're like, well, that's great, but now also the longer that I continue to go on this, yes, I have these goals and I'm aiming this energy at healing and leveling up, and that is awesome stuff that I am so grateful and excited for. But then the downside to that chip on the shoulder is like, okay, well, also I'm not satisfying the feminine intimacy that I am yearning for. And now it's like, okay, how can I potentially start to do that? And my strategy has kind of been going forward. A lot of some of these other guys call it the semen retention lobby, where they're like, put the woman in the lobby. You don't have to jump into, intimacy, sleeping with her, whatever, but you can at least like open yourself up to that friendship, that just like starting to get to know each other.
Without physical intimacy.
Yeah, and that's something. It's like I have been pretty terrible at that historically, of like, no, like why would I want a woman in my life if like if I'm attracted to her and it's not working, like if it's not going to be that male female, partnership. Um so that this is kind of where my mind is starting to go is like, okay, can I start to open myself up and trust myself to bring that feminine in that way and see where that could go in a healthy way. That's kind of where I'm sitting at right now.
Yeah, I like that, man. And I think it doesn't serve anyone to like withhold from, like, if there's a, I won't say an urge, like not craving ego energy, but just like, when your body moves in the direction of something and it's like nothing compelled you and you're like, shit, like I really want to talk to this person or something and we're holding back, like there's nothing wrong with doing the thing and talking to the person. And like, even if it does lead to that, the thing is that with all that creative energy, with all the inner work that one can do in this space, like just lead with a lot of awareness and notice and look at all the things that come up, the desires and the things, and like, you can even, I mean, if at least if you allow that connection, you can feel into if it's right for you to like start hanging out with somebody like that, and even getting physically intimate if that feels right. And then you see how you feel after the first time and like, do I feel depleted? No, I actually feel good. Okay, I feel like oxytocin, there's connection, like this was super nourishing. And then like, next day you go into your stuff and you're like, oh, this is great. And like, we don't need to be, getting intimate all the time or anything. And it's just like a case by case basis, person by person. um but yeah, it's a good question to see if it's like, are we pushing an aspect of life away that is actually right for us now, or is it actually really right for us to have these boundaries right now while we work on these other aspects of ourselves that can be
Yeah.
kind of inundated if we allow this sexual energy to, be wasted, you know?
And bro, there's one more aspect to this too, and that's having sex without releasing,
Yeah,
because that is an aspect that, after experiencing what this energy can do to my life as a man, I'm like, well, why don't I just learn how to be intimate with a woman, yet still hold that seed in so that I can still build the life that I'm wanting to with that energy, but still also open myself up to that intimacy that I crave. That's where my mind is headed next.
yeah.
Is And when do I allow myself to start to enjoy that aspect?
And there's a ton of books. I've read a couple. One I recommend is called Sacred Sexuality by Michael Murdad. I can send that to you.
Sweet.
And another one, I don't remember the name, but just in general, reading about um, some kind of tantra. It's a lot of the practices
I
with
got
tantra.
this one.
Oh, cool. Yeah, even the Way of the Superior Man has taught me a couple things, and I also worked with a tantra practitioner one-on-one. Um, and so, like with what I learned in all of those different avenues, um, I've done like breath work, and there was one time that I was by myself masturbating, and I was doing certain breath work um, that was bringing the energy like up the spine, and I ended up having, to my knowledge, my first like um, Michael Murdad in his book calls it an injaculation. An ejaculation is when you go out, and injaculation is when you have it in one of your chakras. And so I felt in my chest, like my heart chakra area, I felt this blossoming, this like blooming outward of this like soft, blissful, ecstatic energy that felt very much like an orgasm. And I smiled and I was like, oh shit.
What do we have here?
Okay, men just like women can have non-ejaculation orgasms, and those injaculations actually like replenish the energy system and like give you all that creative energy into the body. And it like the creative force of that is apparently huge.
Yep.
There's a lot to unlock there, dude. There's
Yep.
so much to unlock there.
Dude, it's I love that you're getting into this, or you're talking about this. I've experienced, I think, two of those
Cool.
with Dr. Joe Dispenza's meditation work, where you're pulling that mind, they call it pulling the mind out of the body, but pulling that energy up. And bro, at his last event, I think it was the one in Nashville, I had one of those in my heart center that, bro, like, you don't know till you know. It's just like, what is this? And it's not gone. in an instant, that shit lingers. And you're just sitting with that dude and you're like, holy crap. And then I had one of those up in the like pineal section as well. Like it got up to there. And he calls it a brain orgasm. Incredible. Like it's a real thing. So like that's where my mind is headed now. I'm like, dude, could I learn to master this
Yeah.
and allow myself to still like get to be intimate with a woman and still kind of scratch that itch of that super motivated masculine, like, no, I want to use this energy to build an empire, is like, is there a balance between the two?
Yeah, totally. Totally. I mean, think of like the amount of semen retention that, for example, that you have now. Like, I'm not an expert on this topic, but from things that I've heard, this is what I gather about it. Um, like compared to somebody who's like, let's say, watching porn maybe once a day and masturbating every day, yeah, they're going to be depleted. They're not going to have a lot of creative energy. They're not going to have a lot of like umph to like move forward and do good things. And you're on the opposite end of that. And if you were to ejaculate, like I had heard once, I don't know if it's accurate, that like a male in their 30s can effectively like ejaculate once a week and they're still at neutral, because their body creates that amount, and that like that is like an acceptable amount. I don't know if that's true. I've heard that, um, but I understand that the body does manufacture this sexual energy that it's so if we're not spending it every day, then there's totally a balance that we can live in it. But then that's not even considering the fact that you know the amount of self control that someone doing SR has and feels. Like, if you hop into learning a little bit about some of these breathwork practices and how to like pull the sexual energy up the spine, um, which for me, what I learned was like on the in breath, letting it be like a super low filling like belly breath with complete and total relaxation, and then on the out breath, clenching the perineum, like
Yep.
pulling up and like bringing the like instead of like thrusting your hips outward, bringing that back and letting the spine be tall, and like even looking up and like on the out breath, sending that energy up the spine. Like, I actually I have done that during masturbation when I was in like the SR days, and I was playing around with edging, like getting close to it, and then just like, okay, cool, you made some like my balls made the energy, like, okay, cool. Instead of shooting it out, let me like right at like a couple seconds before or when I'm feeling it activated, boom, let me shoot it up the spine, and then I feel it less activated down in the shaft or like wherever the stuff is happening. And then I'm like, oh, I think I'm actually offloading some of that and sending it up, and then you can just eventually, if you do that breath work enough, like your dick will just like not be hard anymore, and then you'll just be sending all the creative force to the rest of the body.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Dude,
there's like, yeah, it's fascinating. It's such a mechanism. There's so much stuff we can do with it.
and we're just not taught it, dude. Like, could you imagine learning this information as a young boy and like,
Yeah, it'd be fucking awesome.
bro, like it changes everything.
Yeah,
And the thing is, so like I've been reading a bunch of books on SR too and like going through that stuff. And
cool.
the thing is, it's like, again, guys, we're not here telling you, oh, end your streak. Oh, if you're 30, you should be doing it once a month or once a week or like, whatever. It's like your situation is gonna be different. If you're dealing with chronic health conditions, you might be in a space where your body needs even more energy. And it's like you might be dealing with meridian issues if we get back to Chinese traditional medicine, and more energy is going to allow you to start to work through and heal a lot of that stuff. And or you might be in a spot in life where you're like, man, I have so many blocks that I really want to push through finally, and I need motivation. I need that extra masculine edge per se. It's like, okay, then you're in a situation where you might want to go on a long streak, but hey, maybe you're in a healthy situation and you're ready to start opening yourself up to a relationship. What does that look like? And then it's like you see the Michael Jacksons of the world, back in his heyday, that guy was totally on semen retention. And look at the effect, like the magnetizing effect that had for his life and his career. So then it's like, well, what's your goal in life? Do you want to,
That he was doing SR. That's awesome.
yeah, and it's like, do you want to have that magnetizing impact in your career or your mission or purpose? Is that where you're going to aim your sexual energy? It's different for everybody.
Yeah.
Can I ask you this? It seems like one of the things that I'm realizing is there's two sides to my brain that I'm kind of working through right now. There's like this red pill side of of oh, the women today are just like really pretty awful, or the dating market's difficult, or like that side of things where you're like the modern woman is, you know, kind of a train wreck, and like I don't want to give my energy away to that type of woman. But then there's this other aspect, because I know that's a limiting belief. Yes, yeah, you could look around and it could be mirrored back in our reality, but again, it's always like mirroring back our belief to us. But then there's this aspect of, bro, the right woman is a multiplier. She is an asset, not a liability. She can take what you give her and multiply and help and motivate and help heal. And like, would you say you're realizing that aspect of it? Because bro, when I hear you talking about your girlfriend, like, oh bro, when I'm really deep down in the difficult stuff, she's helping me through it. She's showing up and helping me process it. And you're showing her what some would say the weak parts,
Yeah.
the ugly parts. And a lot of men are afraid of doing that
Yep.
because historically, the second they do that, the woman gets the ick, gets disgusted because that's not the big masculine attractive thing for the feminine, and they leave.
Yeah. And you said the magic word, historically. Literally everything in the present moment that we like, every time we like flinch or tense up, it's because our mind is only taking it from past data. And so we just have to be brave enough to keep opening back up. And I know that with grief, to bring it, full circle, that's been a super tough one. Literally feeling and like feeling the into the belief of like, oh fuck, loss is really tough. I know if I open my heart again, I'm going to there's eventually going to be loss.
Yeah.
And even holding that with the yeah, but that's actually what life is for, and that's why it's so awesome. Like, yeah, but I'm not ready, and I will be. And it's just like, but when you open yourself up, and like we've especially men, we've heard that vulnerability is weakness, and it's not. We know in the healing space, when in people that understand inner work, that vulnerability with another human being, letting our heart be seen, is true strength, because there's trust. There's that vulnerability is like, here I am. Here's authentically and honestly who I am here and now, and there's acceptance. And when we're in that, there's like a surrender. And so it's like it's a moment when we're vulnerable that we're connected to God, because we're connected to ourselves and we're being honest. And God's like, you're not lying anymore. All right, here's your real you. You took the fucking mask off. We can work with this, you know? As they say, God helps those who help themselves. But if you're like wearing a mask, then God is just like, all right, cool, I'll wait. I'll wait till you're ready to like actually reach for me, and then I'll grab you, you know? It's not like God's just going to come down and save you. That's another catalyst a lot of people have, a lot of beliefs that I just saw a video the other day about the boomer generation that could have been a psyop given to the boomers that were passed on to us, but about like needing an external savior, and like you just sit around and wait for that other person to come and fix the whole thing. And it's like, nah, 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 nah. God helps those that help themselves, meaning you need to take that first step or the first couple steps. And then like at some point, there's like that halfway point, or whatever it is that you're
Yep.
given that support. And that's all of that to say that when somebody becomes vulnerable, with discernment, it can be a beautiful thing. And if we're not discerning and we're vulnerable with the wrong family member or the wrong, you know, a relationship prospect, someone who has a lot of, because a lot of times we're attracting the people that mirror our parents' relationship or the relationships we had in the past, and like whatever unfinished, unhealed wounds were in the last relationship, they're going to come back. You're just picking up where you left off, this kind of thing. It's just the only way through is to be vulnerable, or else you're just going to make more, right?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. And it's funny because it can turn into a self-fulfilling prophecy that by holding the fear of being unwilling to be vulnerable with women, you're inadvertently suppressing it and causing and like leading yourself to something that may just cause you to not be able to stay together anyways, because now you're also holding back. And I guess I'm thinking out loud. I'm like, wouldn't it just be better to be authentic and lose it and know that you were authentic as opposed to
Yeah.
not, and then you
Well,
lose it and you're like,
that's like we've heard that so many times. Like the truth can be really hard when you're living in a lie, but once you're aligned with truth, and if you live in like devotion to truth, then you know that as long as you're being honest and authentic, that whatever the outcome is that happens in the external world is good. Because if you were lying, then the outcome that happens is affected by the fact that you're withholding something. And so then we lie more and more, and we create this web of lies, and that's when the truth becomes like
yeah,
our nemesis. It's so fucking scary. But when we're living in a line with truth, if we're vulnerable with a woman that we're interested in dating, and she rejects us completely, then good on you. You were fucking vulnerable. That was so fucking strong and brave and courageous. And clearly she's not the right one,
yeah,
because she can't like hold you with unconditional love.
yeah,
And so goodbye.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
weren't, if you withheld and like you were vulnerable later, or you just end up like entrenched with this person for the wrong reasons, and then it's even more painful and messy later on, when it's like, oh, I got attached to this person, and I could have found out earlier that they weren't right for me, but I wasn't vulnerable.
yeah.
It's endless.
Yeah, and dude, there's this aspect too of the last girl that I actually was like dating, I experienced the first time of having a girl cheat on me in at the, at a rock bottom moment that I was already going through so much shit in life where it was like I know I wasn't showing up as my best self, but I thought I had a real one that was down to help through that. And the ego, I'll tell you what, doesn't love that, and it's almost like that builds that wall back up where you're like, no, now I'm going to jump into the red pill side of things. I'm going to make sure that never happens again, and I'm going to withhold a certain amount of vulnerability going forward. But then the kicker is that thing now the thing that's stopping me from actually connecting with the high value woman that is a multiplier, that is an asset, that is there to work and build and grow. And for example, dude, I look at my mom and my dad. Um, they didn't have like the greatest marriage or relationship growing up. But what I will say is this: my mom, dude, was a real one. She was trustworthy, loyal, respectful, and she was in it no matter what. If it was good, if it was bad, if it was difficult, she was there. And they made it work and they always pushed through. And because of that, like the back half of their marriage became a lot better too. Once everybody was kind of grown up, and it's like, it was really cool to see that. Um, but I'm just looking around today. I'm like, again, the limiting belief, my brain thinking off the past and historical things I've experienced, being like, I don't know, dude, that was real. Like that almost broke you, man. Like having a girl cheat on you and like having to work through that, and the shot that your pride took and your ego took from that, and like you're just embarrassed and like, do you want to deal with that again? Like, no, let's protect from that at all costs. Well,
Exactly.
what's the flip side? Just like always yearning for that closeness with a woman that you're not allowing yourself to get to.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I hear you, man. And a big one too on like the you mentioned, I'll use your terminology, like the red pill idea of like the modern woman. And I've heard in some SR videos and in some other like masculine empowerment videos, you know, I think we got to be really careful. Um, some people are like seeing women as like, like what was it, modern? Yeah, like the modern woman. Um, what I just want to make sure I'm using like correct words here. Yeah, I've seen an attitude of like, oh, careful, the modern woman is like a siren, a vampiress that's like trying to steal your energy and all this stuff, and makes it seem like they're bad, they're doing it intentionally, and that it's like I've seen women are the enemy, like kind of mentality. And I just want to say to anybody that has like felt that or aligned with that, just to remind, when someone acts in a way that seems to drain energy from you, or gets you to react in a way where you're like at their beck and call, or like sexually you're like you feel like a slave to them and stuff, like that's on you, that's on the person. Like, the moment we start giving power to anybody else, we're giving our power away. When we say that, like, oh, the woman is this and she's doing this, it's like, be careful. And it's the same with like politicians. Like, yeah, like, yes, on like the material physical realm, there is a human drama that is happening, but then in like a deeper realm that pervades all, it's like this is just an outer reflection of what we are allowing individually. Like the stuff that's going on in the world. Like, if we really want like a sustainable world that's like win-win for everybody, abundance mindset, collab, not competition, like, where are we participating in the scarcity and ego structures in our everyday, and how can we start to switch that over to from ego to like to the self, to the self is everything, the self is everywhere, selflessness, right? To a scarcity to abundance, competition to collaboration, these kinds of things, like win-lose games where there's like one winner and a million losers, to like win-win. Everybody can win because there's literally, that's the way the universe is created. Like, everybody can rise together. Um, and Yeah, all that being said, um, don't fall into the trap where you see women as like an enemy or an other or something bad. It's just, these bodies are so incredible, and we're learning how they work, and we're living in a world that did not teach us, at least the society did not teach us, how our minds work, and how our sexuality works. And we're like learning that now in our later days, our middle ages, from like spiritual practitioners and tons of people on YouTube. And like, we're all like well intentioned for the most part, but we got to just be very discerning and very careful and be very open, and just like keep for me, the spiritual tenets of like oneness and kindness and love are like really helpful when I can notice, like, oh, wait, I'm objectifying people, I'm generalizing, I'm othering, I'm like, us versus them, like all this. I'm making this sound too mechanical when I know that it's more organic and mysterious, and I don't actually have all the answers. Yeah, super long rant, another one, but I think it was
Guys, these are what our calls are. This is we just have rants back and forth until we're exhausted.
smoked anything today, man.
Say what?
I haven't even smoked anything. That was just me, coffee, just like pop, pop.
Wait till you see Nico with a couple smokes in him.
Yeah.
Then you really unlock the next
Well,
level.
if I would have smoked some cannabis, it would have been a whole other, a whole.
Oh my gosh, dude, that's super helpful though. Thank you. Thank you for being a sounding board for me. Um, Again, it's funny. I just think with the semen retention community in particular, it's easy for a lot of these guys to be speaking on things and everybody looks at them like they figured it out. They have all the answers. It's like, nah, dude, we're all just figuring this out together. Yeah, I'm just
Nope.
doing it with a camera in real time, just showing you the highs and the lows of it. And yeah, that's just been kind of the next stage for me, you know.
Good
But
man.
well, bro, okay, so I know you wanted to talk about music a little bit. So
I
um,
think I was actually going to bring that up. Like maybe we can do that another time, you and I, and like I had wanted to talk about like I told you, I'm setting up my music studio room. I'm currently um, actually, you know what? Yeah, whenever you turn the call off, like the recording, then I'll share this part with you because it's financial.
oh, okay, yeah, we can do that. Or I'll just be chopping stuff anyways, because
Okay, cool,
I
cool.
think there's stuff in here that's like it's so good, but I also think YouTube might not love some of it, so I might clip and just like take
Okay.
take stuff out. Um, okay, then let me end with this because we'll end this segment with this because you mentioned that God helps those that help themselves. I really do like that quote. Um, that seems to align well with the semen retention community. It's like if you are kind of at rock bottom as a man, you're feeling broken, your life isn't where it needs to be, and you're waiting for somebody to come save you, you're going to be waiting for a really freaking long time.
And then eventually you're gonna learn, most likely, that you're the one that had to save yourself the whole time, and then you do it.
Dude, and I've learned that lesson so many times across business, for example. It's like, oh no, the business isn't doing what we want it to do. Oh, okay. Well, I being one of the owners, I'm gonna have to step in and solve it.
Yeah.
Who else is going to? Nobody else cares. We're all living our own individual realities. Like, why would somebody else care more about your reality than you care about your reality? And I would agree, it does kind of feel a little bit like maybe a psyop from the previous generations of like, oh no, wait for a savior, just wait, it'll come. It's like
Apparently, like how the boomers were taught to like just believe in a political savior and
a financial savior.
the American dream, and
Yep.
believe in the companies and corporations that don't have our best interests, and like no, everything's good, just trust, this kind of.
Yeah. Yeah, and like looking at the LUC that we joined, it's like we can see a completely different perspective of like, oh no, like you'll get that's a problem if you're depending on everybody else. Like look at the financial system, look at the financial strategies and a lot of these financial advisors even. Like the results that they get as opposed to what you can get if you empower yourself and do it yourself. It's like that across your whole life. So I think that was a really good thing. Well, bro, okay, let's wrap up this talk here that we're recording. Um I think a lot of guys are gonna get a lot of gems out of this. Like there's so much in here. Um how would you like to end this? Is there is is there a piece of wisdom or advice just in general that you would like to leave all of our viewers with? Something that's maybe been helpful for you or a big revelation for you. Anything that's on your heart, on your mind, you can share.
um this life shit, this shit is challenging. This shit is dense. We can affect so much change in our reality, but be fucking gentle with yourself. Like reach for self-love, reach for giving yourself grace, for allowing grace, for like if you quote unquote mess up or fail, that you understand like and rework those words where you see like, oh okay, I'm learning about myself because I'm seeing. I mean, it's, think of these spiritual teachers that talk about like, oh yeah, reincarnation, I don't know if you guys believe in that, but you know the idea is that you're leveling up spiritually. Your spirit, your soul is learning the greatest lessons of the cosmos little by little through these dense human lifetimes. And that right now, we're in this accelerated time of learning, with all the chaos and all the purging that's going on in this planet. But that is especially teaching us to be fucking gracious with ourselves, to be grateful, to like lock into community, find your people. Um, but yeah, the biggest one is like it's nothing's black and white. It's not. Don't hyper focus on the material. Don't like calling things good and bad. Let go of that. Just be careful with that because we fall into these traps. And the last thing I'll say, this is something I learned on an Aaron Abke podcast back in November, where he was interviewing this guy who was big on Rudolf Steiner, and he was talking about this framework I had never heard, but I absolutely love, where it's pretty much the way of Christ is in the center, and you're between two polarities of Satan, which is essentially just the adversary, and it's just adversarial living to the way of oneness and to the way of Christ. One is called Luciferian, the other is Ahrimanic, which is like the devil figure from Zoroastrianism. But the two names, Luciferian and Ahrimanic, are just two polarities of ego, let's say. And so I'll start with Ahrimanic is extremely conservative and strict and boxing things up, putting boundaries and walls. So think of like religion and how Ahrimanic they are with sexuality. And it's like it's only to be used for procreation, but like we don't even really talk about it much because it's horrible, it's bad. Sexuality is a sin. You're a sinner. Lust, and it's just like so much judgment, so much shame, so much. Instead of like, oh, let's learn to understand it. Isn't it beautiful? Like this is, but it's part of creation, and like, yes, the urges, whatever. And then the other side of that Luciferian is the complete opposite. So think of like, if we're talking about like Dungeons and Dragons, like um, like orientation, you have like lawful and chaotic, good, neutral, and evil. But we're talking about lawful and chaotic. Lawful being like so many laws that it's too strict.
Mm-hmm.
And then chaotic is no laws, no holds barred. Luciferian is like, I have this desire, I'm going to go for it. I have this craving, I'm going to go for it. I'm not going to hold anything back. I want to go on this trip, I'm going to go for it. I want to fuck this person, I'm going to go for it. I want to do this thing. And it's just, there's no boundaries. So long way of saying, like the way of Christ is in the middle. And like you can discern where you are. So like for me, I've noticed, I've been very Luciferian about coping mechanisms and not having boundaries. What does that mean? In order for me to get closer on the scale from Luciferian Ahrimanic to Christ is I need to exercise more boundaries. But if I go too far and I pass that point of balance and peace, now I'm being too hard on myself. And it's like you're going from like a slave driver to slave. And it's
Yeah.
like, it's crazy. But yeah, that's the last thing I'll end on. Uh,
Bro, you just melted my mind with that last thing.
that one's huge. That's been huge for me.
I'm seeing so much of that in my life as you're saying that right now.
Yeah,
Like where am I way too boxed in and where am I
yeah.
way too free?
Because we can have that in multiple aspects of our lives. And
Yeah.
it's, I just got to be more free, then that might not work for every aspect. Or I got to be like more strict, that might not work with every aspect. And it's like that balance, that middle way, the narrow way, that it's like learning to walk a tightrope.
Brother, thank you for chatting.
Yeah, man.
I
This was
really I really value these conversations.
this was good for me too. I noticed a shift in my energy from where I was before, just like a little more slumpy and like not opening up, and then just the questions and the sharing like really cracked me open. So thank you, brother.
Dude, I mean, this is the value of community, though. And I think this is the big aspect of like iron sharpening iron. It's not always when you think of like forging something in fire and it's, it's not always like big and tough and masculine. Sometimes that iron sharpening iron is the vulnerability and just getting to speak what you're going through and hear somebody else's perspective. So you're a wealth of knowledge, bro. I love every time I catch up, I'm like, there's like 10 more rabbit holes that I could personally now go down because of what you just shared. It's like,
Right.
okay, what's the priority? I can pick one. Crazy. Well, bro, thank you. Much love, man. Love you. Thank you for being in my life. Appreciate you.
Sir.
All right, there you have it, guys. That is the first official podcast type content of the channel. I hope you got a lot of value out of that. Again, guys, these calls that Niko and I get together and have, we learn so much from. And I think I'm going to make it a goal to start recording more of these and posting these to the channel. So if you guys appreciate these, let me know in the comments. Maybe timestamp something that stood out to you that we talked about. There was some absolute gems towards the end of this that I'm going to go back through and just think more deeply on how I can implement these into my life. So subscribe, guys. Follow along. Drop me a comment. Let me know what you liked. If there's other people, men that you think would be good to interview, good for me to have a conversation and post, let me know. And then also one more thing. If I do end up turning this into maybe a podcast, let me know if you've got some podcast names because I'm thinking through some right now, but I want to hear what you guys think. So peace, love, abundance to you all. I will catch you on the next one.